BT Sport is your one-stop shop for televised global speedway. And on this week's Bike Mic, we go behind the scenes with the voices of the sport to find out more about their race day experiences. So without further ado, I'll hand over to everyone's favourite broadcasting trio, Nigel Pearson, Kelvin Tatum and Natalie Quirk.
Okay, so we're with Nigel Pearson now from BT Sport. Nigel, we're here at the National Speedway Stadium on race day with the TV here. What is it like setting up for a meeting when you've got all this equipment to bring along?
Well, I don't bring the equipment along. We've got our superb team of riggers who come along, and basically this is the commentary box. We've got my part of the commentary box here on the left, Kelvin's on the right, and we have our headphones where we've got open talkback with the director talking to us, counting down to commercial breaks, that type of thing. But the equipment is all set up and ready for us to go. So it's different in football with the radio that I do, where I set my own gear up. But with television, the BT Sport team, they just set up all for us. It's fantastic, ready to go.
I mean, it must be a really sort of busy experience when you've got people talking in your ear all the time, you've got all the racing to watch. What is it like to sort of take stock of everything that's going on in such a short period of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's very busy, and by 9:30 or whatever time a Grand Prix finishes, certainly tonight by 9:30, you know, it takes a while to come down from the adrenaline and the 100% concentration level that you've got to be 100% focused because of what's happening in your ears, what you can see in front of you, keeping check of the race card. Everything, it's 100% focus and concentration. So by 9:30, it's you're ready to relax, and you are pretty tired at the end of it.
Especially with how excited you and Kelvin can get, and with the National Speedway Stadium, we're always guaranteed some good racing, aren't we?
It's fantastic, and Kelvin and I are very fortunate in that we go to a lot of tracks throughout Europe, and this is right up there with the best of them. It's always a delight to come here because the way the track is, it's fantastic. Who can forget that Max Frick move against Somerset on BT Sport last year? And you guys are very fortunate that you say it every week. I'm very envious. If it was 10 minutes up the road, I'd have a season ticket here.
Good man, and we've just actually got Kelvin Tatum come up. Now, Kelvin, you've been down on the track at the minute. Talk us through the dirtometer. What's that all about?
Well, it was just something just to spice up the track report, really, because sometimes talking about the oval over and over, it gets a little boring. So I think it's just a slightly sexier version of a screwdriver, really, but it seems to work.
We were just talking to Nigel about when you guys are here with BT Sport on race day, how there's so much going on. You've got people talking in your ear, you've got all the action on the track and all of that sort of thing. What's it like from your perspective with all that activity and how exciting things can get at times?
Well, the racing here is always exciting, so that's a pleasure. That makes the job easier in that regard. Regarding all what's going on in the background, that is something that's like a TV skill. It's something as an ex-rider I've had to come to terms with because it is something that you really need to be able to cope with, having that extra person talking to you while we're actually sort of shouting and screaming about racing at the same time. So, when you've had the winter layoff, that's always a little bit of a shock to the system when you first come back to working again. But no, I thoroughly enjoy it, and when the racing's great, it makes the work a pleasure.
And we've just to wrap up, I mean, we've got some huge fixtures still to come here. We've seen the Speedway of Nations just recently. We've got the British final. You guys will be joining us for that. Yeah. Looking forward to that one, Kelv?
Yeah, absolutely. The British final is always a great night. You know, a lot of passion, a lot of pride at stake. You know, and we've seen the British finals come here in recent seasons, and we've seen some really spectacular performances. Danny King, of course, in the wet was outstanding, but Robert Lambert winning with an 18-point maximum last year was pretty special.
Certainly was. And you, Nigel, you must be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Speedway of Nations was fantastic. The British final, never fails to excite and deliver. Obviously, Robert's doing well in the Grand Prix as a stand-in for Greg at the moment, proving to be the real deal. So that's great. Craig Cook will fancy his chances of coming back here because he loves this track, doesn't he? So there's a lot of permutations there. I'm looking forward to the I think it's the 29th of July. Looking forward. Get your tickets now. It's going to be brilliant.
Certainly, get your tickets for that one, folks. And so we're here with Natalie Quirk of BT Sport. Natalie, it's really exciting on a race day with the guys here, the TV and all of the equipment. What's the difference? How is it different between in the studio for the Grand Prix and here in the flesh?
It's so much better being here in the flesh. When you're in the studio, I'm seeing what you're seeing. You're watching it on TV. A massive TV beat that in the studio with Scott, and working with Scott is fantastic. But to be on site, to be able to see the racing firsthand, to be in the pits and be in the hub of everything, it's so much better. So yeah, it's great to do the league stuff on site.
It's raw energy, isn't it, as well? You've got the riders right here next to you as well in the pits while all the action is going on.
Yeah, you can kind of see who's doing what and what's going on, if there's anything, what the riders are doing, what they're talking about, and you're right in the thick of the action here. So, and we can bring it then to the viewers. So that's something that we don't necessarily see in the Grand Prix. But yeah, I kind of keep an eye on everything that's going on, and the riders will come over and watch from the podium and stuff. So yeah, it's nice to be in the thick of things.
I mean, you do the majority of the British fixtures on location. Any chance of us seeing you at a Grand Prix? I mean, I know you quite like doing Cardiff, don't you?
Love doing Cardiff. It's one that we all count. I mean, as fans, as Speedway fans, it's one that we count down to. So to be there working on it is a dream come true. So, and the atmosphere out in the stadium and in the pits is brilliant. So that's one that we always look forward to. And of course, the Speedway of Nations now, when it's been in Manchester the last couple of years, has been fantastic. So to do more Grand Prix rounds on location would be brilliant. It's something that we would really love to do in the future. Hopefully, not too long in the future. To be in Poland, to be maybe in Warsaw one time, to open up the Grand Prix series there with 50,000 fans would be fantastic. So fingers crossed, maybe one day.
I mean, what's it like going to all the different stadiums as well? Because all the setups are so unique throughout British Speedway. None quite like the National Speedway Stadium, but that must be exciting as well.
Yeah, it is good. And to go to somewhere like Ipswich, where a couple of weeks ago I'd been to before for a stock car meeting, but not for Speedway. So to have Ipswich back in the Premiership is great, and Peterborough as well. To go to two different tracks now, and for people that are newcomers to Speedway that haven't seen those circuits before, we know the riders, but to see the different shapes of the tracks, different performances from riders is good. It mixes things up a little bit. And then, of course, National Speedway Stadium, I think we're a bit spoilt here now, aren't we?
We certainly are. Natalie's been smashing speaking to you folks. If you are interested, don't forget you can catch the action live on BT Sport this season. Thanks, Natalie, again.
There's still plenty of action to sink your teeth into this season on BT Sport, folks, and these guys will be there with us every step of the way. And next up is, of course, the Speedway of Nations in Russia, where Team Great Britain hope to go one better from silver this year to claim their first gold medal.